Hello everyone, I'm Laura Rogers and this is SharePoint Power Hour. This is a weekly show I do Wednesdays at 11 Central. Joelle is not here. She's usually here with me online. She had a baby recently, so she'll be out for a few months. So welcome, welcome. Today our topic is permissions with SharePoint hub sites. So we'll talk about permission. I'll show you how that works and what it is. And then, that doesn't fill up the whole hour. We'll just talk about hub sites too and talk about what they are and why to use them. So the fun thing about Power Hour is that it's live and we have chat going on. That way you can ask questions and have these fun conversations during Power Hour. So the way you get in, the way you join is there's a link underneath the video that you're watching right now that says joining for the first time, fill out this form. You fill out the form, we invite you. We have to manually invite everybody into Teams, and then you go to Teams and you'll get an invite and you'll go to Teams. So I'll go ahead and show you. I'll start sharing my screen and I'll show you another quick demo of how to get to chat with us in this team, and then we'll get started. So welcome. It's good to see everybody. And this is going to be fun. All right, so let me get my screen share up here. Okay, this is Microsoft Teams, and this is, let's see, I've got just a test user that I'm showing here. So when you were in your tenant, like your own tenant in Teams, and you could be in the Teams software, you could be in teams.microsoft.com in the browser, either way. So you'll be in your tenant and you'll see your name and your tenant name up here. You can click the drop down, and so this is after you've invited and you've clicked the invite so that you're part of the team. Then you can switch over to IW Mentor Power Hour, and then in here is where we have just a single little team over here and a channel called General. So in the general channel, I have a tab for every Power Hour. So today the Power Hour is Hub Permissions. And so you go to Hub Permissions, you go to whatever tab we're on that day, and then you click this little conversation button over here at the top right, and then that will pull up the panel so that way you can watch it on YouTube. And this is just using the YouTube just little tab that you can add in Teams. And that way you can watch me on YouTube and while we're having the conversation. So hi everybody, and there's our chat going on. So all right, so our topic again, SharePoint hub site permissions. So I'm going to go over what this is. I put a few links as resources in the general tab. So in this little tab called posts, I went ahead and just put resources today about hub permissions. I also pinned that post so that when you go to the little information panel about this channel, you'll see it'll say pinned post. So that's another way that you can get to it. And that's just, I put a few different links in here. I just did this post with resources and then hit reply on the post so that I just pasted each link right in there. Okay, so that's where you can get to some reference information. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, now we'll talk about the hub site and the hub site that I have for my demonstration and what we're going to do. So we've got let me go ahead and get rid of my little filter that I have here and just go back to just a default view. This is in the SharePoint Admin Center. This is all of my sites. And we're going to go look at a hub site and the ones associated with it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do this whole video about hub sites. But for those of you who just joined in to quickly see this topic about hub site permissions, I'm not going to drag this all out and make you wait until I mention that part. So I'm just going to show that part real quick, and then I'm going to kind of rewind and do more of an overview of hub sites. Okay, so here I'll go ahead and show you the hub that I'm dealing with. It says filter by hub, and I'm going to do this one, work at IW Mentor. This is one that I installed in a previous Power Hour, probably at least a year ago, where I was installing all the different templates that that Microsoft provides in the lookbook. So I have the actual hub site is here. It's work at IW Mentor. So it tells you which one is the main hub site, and then it tells you these are all the sites connected to this hub site. So when I go to work, it's going to take me to this. Sorry, this is the main hub site that's got a bunch of sites connected to it that are part of the hub. But this is like the parent. So here is where I go to look at this thing with permissions. So I go to the gear at the top right, and then I go to site permissions, not hub site settings. That's where you can get to some other hub site stuff, but site permissions. And then you see here's the trick here. You've got a new tab here where you can click hub. So I go to hub, and then I say sync hub permissions to associated sites. So that is a little toggle that is not going to be on by default, but I can toggle it on. So when I just turned it off. So when I toggle it on, then it's going to ask me which group do I want to have, who do I want to have read access as visitors to all the sites in this hub. So that's where I can type the name of a group. I can type something. So what I've typed in here is I just typed everyone. So there is going to be a built-in group in Office 365 called everyone except external users. And that's the group that I type, because typically with communication sites, you want most of the information is going to be readable to everybody, just news and information that's for everybody in the company. So I'll just say everybody in the company can have access to this. There's nothing top secret in here. But all you're doing is you're giving them read permission. So read is the only permission that you can pick from here. So it's either read or you can just remove the group. So there's my read permissions. And then let me make sure I can see the chat while we're talking. But that doesn't push those permissions out to everybody when you do that. That just turns on the ability to sync the hub permissions to the associated sites. So that's where you turn it on. And then after you do that, on each of those hub sites, so I'll go to one of the hub sites that's associated with this one. So I'll go to like this other one called Give. Let me close some of this other stuff. All right, so this is one of the ones that's in that hub. So then when I go here, I got to wait till I get the little gear at the top right. So I click the gear, and then this is where I can go to site permissions. And then I also have a hub tab here on the other sites that are part of that hub. So then here's where I can say sync hub permissions to this site. So I turn that on. And then let's go to another one. I'll go to this test communication one. And then let's go look at that setting. Site permissions, hub. See, so this is not on by default. That last one that I just showed you, I had toggled that to on just before I started Power Hour, because the documentation said that it could take up to 4 hours for the settings to take effect. So I wanted it to already kind of be in effect ahead of time. So that other one I had already turned on. So this one I can say sync hub permissions to this site. So and then it's just going to tell me when I do that, it says communication site. So that's the name of the site that I'm on, is inheriting permissions from work at IW Mentor. So it's telling me exactly what I've just done, and it's telling me what group or groups that I had set up at the hub site to be able to have read access. So that way I know and I can see it. All right, so that is the gist. That is the quick overview gist of what the hub site permissions does. It's just read permission, and it can be turned on at the hub, and it can be turned on, optionally turned on at each of the sites that report to the hub, but the hub is not going to force that setting and impart it upon all of the spokes of the hub just by itself. All right. And you all let me know if you have any questions about that as we go. That's the fun part about having the chat. So let's go see. And then you have this whole great document that I sent you for planning your hub site, and it's got just a ton of information about planning. And then also when you are on this little screen that I just showed you, it on the other one, it was on the, I think it was on the parent, yeah. Oh, it says learn more right here. And then when you click learn more, this gives you more information about what happens when you associate the, the hub site permissions. But it also tells you just a few more tidbits about what's going to happen and how it works. So it says, let me go ahead and go back to that site. Just have this on the screen here. It says, let's see, with the permissions, where did it go? Site permissions, hub permissions. Oh, it's one of the links I put in here. I lost it already. Hold on, let me go find it. I've got too many hub site links now popped up everywhere. Okay, so it's not the planning the hub site one. It is setting up a hub site. Let me go pull that up. So basically it just gives you that, all these little help files give you great additional information about what's going to happen when you associate the hub site, and then it's not going to push its permissions down and impart it on the other ones. And that you do need to be a site collection administrator to be able to do that. And inherently, the owners are the site collection administrators in this new world of modern and SharePoint hub sites. Okay, so that was the quick overview of how it works. So now we'll kind of do, Joe says, where's that doc? So all the documents that I mentioned are in the posts tab. And I put a thread there saying, here are the resources for today's Power Hour. And those 3 links are in the posts tab in Teams. Yeah, so yeah, Craig. 2-step process, depends on how many spokes you have in your hub. So the first step is to turn it on at the parent, and then the next step would be to turn it on each child of the hub site to say, yes, I want to get the permissions from the parent. It says it would be good to cover permissions with external users in an extranet kind of way. Yes, that could be a different Power Hour, I think, because that's not going to really be related to the hub site. But that is a good, you could put that in the idea. We have a little ideas channel here in Teams too, where you can write out your ideas just as we go, as you think of things that you'd want to see in Power Hour. And I try to include, when there are ideas that, a couple people like in there, include those in the voting, and everybody votes on topics every week for Power Hour. Okay, so now that we've talked about what a hub site is, it entails, it's pretty simple, right? It doesn't fill up an entire hour because it's just, all you're giving them is read permission, and you just say whether or not, whether or not it's turned on. So since that doesn't fill up a whole hour, now we're going to talk more about hub sites. And I think we've done a Power Hour or 2 about hub sites in the past, but this is just going to be a good recap. So a hub site, nowadays, you don't have to have SharePoint subsites. Subsites are not a thing anymore. So what we do is we create, everything is just a top level site. It's a big flat structure. Everything is either a team site or communication site. And the idea is that you don't have to physically architect your SharePoint. You don't have to, like in the old days, if you wanted to, if your organization had a reorg, if you guys might remember this, you had to go actually do migrations and move, one site from one site collection to another and just physically move the content around. It was so painful. Now you don't have to do that because every single site is just its own thing. And it's not in a physical hierarchy. The sites don't exist under other sites. So the only way that you sort of mimic the hierarchy is with your navigation. So like when I go to this, like work at IW Mentor is my main hub site. I can see this is, and this navigation that's in the hub site is where I can define a hierarchy, but I'm really just kind of manually deciding what I want to be in this hierarchy. And then this navigation is just going to appear on all of the sites in that hub. So literally my architecture is just clicking this edit button here on the hub site editor. And then this is my architecture. So what I can do is I can create, I use this little plus right here, and I can create either a header or a link, and then I can create this sort of hierarchy here. So a label, not a header. A label is just going to be something that is just text, that's not something that people can click on, and then a link is just going to be a hyperlink to something that people can click on. So every single site that you have that that you want to put in your navigation, you just literally paste the URL right here and give it a name. So that's all there is to it. So I would just need to go say, okay, what are all the links to each of my sites? And I can just go to each site. I could just right click here and say, just copy my link, or I could go to each site and go grab the link like this and copy it. And then when I go over here into the navigation, I just add the links and I just say what I want it to say, team. And then the structure that I put together, I can take links that I've added in here and I can promote a sublink, which will move it up a layer in the hierarchy. And I can remove these, of course, move them up and down. And this one, if I promoted it, then it would be at the top level with benefits. So promoting it kind of moves it to the left. And then let me click cancel. And then, like if I promoted live at Contoso, then it would be at a level up and it would be one of the dark ones. And so you can see that all of these look like they're links. They actually take me to something like that. But you don't have to have, everything doesn't have to be a hyperlink. You could just make some of these labels so that it's just like a title header here. And it's just showing you a header of what all the things are underneath it. So you don't have to have a site. A site doesn't have to exist for every sort of top level category. So that's up to you. I'm going to read some of your comments here. Raphael says flat structures are the best. Yes, it was a mess before. And then let's see. So now with the way it's so easy to just adjust your navigation and your navigation just goes across every site in the hub, then anytime your organization has a reorg, you just go in here and hit edit and you just rearrange them. And then people that are navigating around in the sites, since this follows you everywhere in the hub, then that's how they can tell, where they are. Pam says, I'm working on a migration to online. The client has over 200 sites on-prem and all of them have subsites, most with broken permissions. Oh my gosh, that is no fun, Pam. That product, ShareGate, has a great little feature that I love that's fairly new. It's come out within the last 6 months or so. Just on the main screen when you open up the ShareGate software, and it has a button that says, I think it says something like migrate subsites to be site collections, or migrate subsites to be team sites. It's something like that, where it takes all the subsites from underneath the site and it just does a migration where it takes all of them and just makes them all top level sites. So that's a great little time saver if you want to buy ShareGate and have that software to do that. Yeah, Microsoft was talking about, Ricky, Microsoft has been talking about relating hubs to hubs a couple of Ignites ago. I have not seen anything in the product that indicates that that has been rolled out. I was reading through all the documentation, all those links that I, sent you in the chat there, and there's nothing in there that says that you can associate a hub to a hub, because when you go in here to associate something to a hub site, then let's see, let me go ahead and I've got a site selected here, and then I can change hub association, so I can change it to be part of a different hub, but I can't just make it be like a sub hub or anything like that. So the way hub works, the thing is, I could build like a whole new hub structure, but I'm not sure how time consuming it's going to be to click on each one. So I was pondering, instead of just looking at this set of sites that I already created, just create a whole hub and hub sites from scratch and just kind of see what that looks like. So I think it would be more better use of our time to just use the one that I've already built and talk about kind of how that works. So I'm going to take this little filter off that I did. Just navigate away. Yeah, the new homepage, the new home site thing, I don't think they've rolled that out either. It's kind of vague. Yeah. But yeah, they have this document that I put in the chat is really good. I highly recommend reading through it, because it's a whole concept of planning out your hubs and how it works and how to do it, and just examples. Because like I just mentioned, it's pretty simple. You just create a bunch of sites that are a flat level, and then you just build your navigation. But if you're a bigger organization, you could potentially have multiple hubs. So let's go ahead and I'll build another site. I'll just build one more site and I'll add it to the hub, and we'll look at what a couple of the options are when you have multiple hubs and how you can make those work together. So I'm going to go ahead and create a site from here, just from my SharePoint Admin Center, and I can pick a design here. It looks like I did a couple of custom ones, but I'll just pick Showcase. No, I'll pick Contoso Communication Site. All right. IW Mentor HR. I like putting underscores in them when I create them too, and then I just change the name later. That way it's not a big smashed together word. And Central Time, that's my time zone. All right, so I'm creating a new communication site, and when I create a new communication site, it's not going to automatically be a part of any hub. So then you have the concept of, when you have a hub site, you can say you want to allow just certain people to be able to join the hub. So let's go look at, before I start joining a hub that already exists, how to make a site a hub, and then how, when a site is a hub, kind of how you control which other sites can be part of that hub. My little stream button is blinking. Is the YouTube going weird or something? Let me see. Nope, I guess I'm good. Nobody's saying anything. All right. Okay, so I just created that new site, and if I want to see a site that I created, the one that I just created, I can. Yeah, there. Oh, there it goes. All right, so I called it IW Mentor HR. Now, just any, so I can, again, sort by date created. This is the one I just created. I can click hub here, and I can just say register as a hub site. And that's all you have to do to take any site and just make it be a hub site. And then if there's already an existing hub that I want it to join, then I would say associate with a hub. Let me remove this. So if I say associate with a hub, then it's going to prompt me and say, okay, which hub would you like to join? And then that's when, then as soon as I join this new site to an existing hub site, then that's when it's going to get all the navigation. So let's go look at what my new HR site looks like before I join it. Oh, the video is having glitches. Oh, that's fun. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm plugged straight into the network cable and the network is good. So it must be YouTube that's being weird. Sorry. Okay, so this is my new lovely IW Mentor HR site, and I'm going to change the look a little bit before I go ahead and join the hub. I'm going to put it on something like, I'll put it on red. So now my theme is red. And IW Mentor HR, and then I can have a couple of new things that I can do here where I can change. There's some things you can do with the header that are fairly new. So I can do this little like minimal header. See, it's got these new settings. If y'all are students of mine and you're in my SharePoint Power User classes, the site design class has got new stuff about this, by the way. All right, so I'll just change that to red and I'll make it minimal. And I can even change it so it doesn't show the site title here if I want to. Isn't that nice? Okay, so there is my site that I haven't joined to the hub yet. I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to say I want to go ahead and associate it with a hub. Now, before I associate it with a hub, my hub only allows certain people to be able to join the hub. Now, of course, this is just my demo tenant, and I'm the admin, and of course I have, admin control over everything in here. But just in the real world, you might not be allowed to join just any hub site. So on the hub site itself, you can go to hub site settings, and that's where you can just tell it whether you want to require approval to join the hub site. And that way you could put together an approval process. And let me see. And then I've got site permissions, hub, and no, that's the thing we already looked at. Okay. All right. Hub site settings, site information. Yeah. Just double checking. And I can also have a hub site navigation logo. So I'll go ahead and put a logo in here. Let's see, what kind of logos do I have? A clock. All right, now do I want to have a site design associated push down to all the associated sites? I don't have one for this. And let's see what other hub sites I have, hub site settings I have in here real quick before I join the other hub. So I'm going to filter my list here. Filter by hub. So I can just quickly see all the sites that are part of that hub. Edit hub site settings. Now okay, so editing the hub site settings on the hub sites and editing the hub site settings from within the SharePoint Admin Center give you two different sets of things that you can configure. Unfortunately, they make it nice and confusing. So when I have a hub site and I don't want just any other site manager in the company to be able to just randomly join my hub site and then be a part of the hub, I can say I'll only allow certain people. So I can put a group of people, I can say Laura, so then I can say only this person and this person are allowed to join a site to this hub, this specific hub, and you do it per hub. Okay, so now where is my new site that I created? Get rid of my filter. Okay, go back here. Go back to my last site that I created, IW Mentor HR. And I can't join the hub site from here, so I have to join it to the hub here. So I'll say associate it with a hub. And then let me go double check that though. Oh yeah, I can do that from here. Yeah, you can do it in both places because you don't have to be a SharePoint, like a server admin level to be able to associate sites with a hub, but this is what the two different interfaces look like. So from the admin center, I can pick a site and choose associate with a hub, and I can go pick which hub I want to associate it to. But just the site owner can do this too if they're allowed, if they're one of the people that's allowed to join the hub. So then I can just say I want to be part of Work at IW Mentor. And then here, so this is that setting we're talking about. Here's the sync the permissions. So when I'm first joining a hub site, it's going to show this sync permissions turned on by default. So that's something to notice. Is that, so remember when I was when I first turned on that capability of syncing of that top level site permissions at the top level hub, and then at all the sites that were already part of the hub, I had to manually go through them and turn on the syncing the permissions. But if I do a brand new site joining the hub, then it's actually going to be turned on by default, see? So I'll go ahead and save, and notice that my site is red. So let's see what happened. Oh, look at that. Instantaneous. You see that? It's like magic, right? So my theme, my colors, everything from that top level hub site immediately got pushed down to this site when I joined the hub. And if I had a site design, and we did a couple of other power hours about what a site design is, if I had a site design associated with that hub site and I had set, that setting to apply a site design to every site in the hub, then this site would have immediately had that site design applied too. And just real quick, a site design is not what it sounds like. A site design is really like the structure of your site, all the lists and libraries that exist, your navigation, some permissions. So you would think the site design would be the colors, but it's not necessarily. So now this site has that look that the top level site has, and it inherited the permissions. Cool, right? So cool. Go back to Work at IW Mentor, and then when you have a hub site, so okay, you're like, okay, so are the subsites that are part of the hub going to magically just show in the navigation now when I join? No, it's not going to magically show in the navigation. So the navigation is still, it's not like in the old SharePoint where when you created subsites, they just would automatically pop up in the navigation. This one doesn't work that way. So what you would do is you decide, okay, where do I want this new site to fall under in the navigation? First of all, I'm going to change, remember I said I was going to change the name of it. So I'll change the name of it. And then I'm going to grab this link. So then I have the URL to my new site that I created. So if I want that to be up here in the navigation, then I have to decide where it needs to be categorized. And then I can just say, I'll just stick it under here and paste it. And I'll just say, IW Mentor. And it's just up to me to type whatever. I could call it Human Resources Department or something. Oops. now this site should be in the navigation. And so now I hover over Give, and there is my new site. Why not make the department sites the hubs instead? That is a great question, Deborah. How do you decide what to make a hub? And it's really just completely free form. It's up to you. That little planning document kind of helps explain. So there are different ways you can do it, and departmental is one way. It also depends on the size of your organization. So a lot of my customers are small and medium-sized companies with maybe like a couple of 100 employees, and they don't have large quantities of sites or large quantities of categories with a plethora of sites. So it makes total sense to just have a single hub for those, and it's pretty simple. It's just one hub, and it's one little set of navigation that's following everything around. But that's another structure decision to make. You can have multiple hubs. So you can have different hubs. Like if you have a whole bunch of sites that fall under like each major department in your company, then it makes total sense to have multiple hubs. So then you would have those, and you would have to sort of, they wouldn't all have the shared navigation. That's kind of why people have been saying that they want to have this concept of sub-hubs, because the navigation isn't automatically shared when you create two completely separate hubs. If you want them to have identical navigation, then you would have to go manually create identical navigation, or you would just have a completely separate set of navigation just when you're in each of those different hubs, and you would just have like one little piece of navigation that could take you to the other hub. Now, what is the benefit of a hub? Like, what is the point besides navigation being inherited in colors? So there are a couple of other things that you can do with a hub. You can do your news can roll up. All the different, like the highlighted content web part, the news web part, the events web part, all the different web parts that have the concept of rolling up. And we did a whole power hour about the highlighted content web part. All those web parts that roll up, those can all be set to only roll up content from the hub. So if you're a really big company where you have people creating all these news posts in all these different sites and all these different places in your organization, and you need to tightly control where they roll up, then that's going to be a good reason to use hubs, because then every site in the hub can just have, can let all the owners of each site create their own news on their sites and then roll it up to the hub. Yes, a hub it doesn't matter what type of site it is. A hub can be either a communication site or a team site, and all the sites that join it can be a communication or team site. It doesn't matter which kind of site that you have there. And obviously you're just creating hard coding links in here. It doesn't matter. The link doesn't know if it's a team site or a communication site or some external site. Let's see. The main one, so Joe's saying, should the main site be a hub or communication site? So that's kind of, I'll back up sort of another higher level here, and the broader concept of communication versus team sites. Communication sites generally are more for one-way communication, like the old school publishing sites in SharePoint. They're like one-way communication. You're publishing news, you're publishing links, events, and things that pretty much the broad audience needs to be able to see. That's communication sites. And then team sites are more for more intimate teams of people sharing files. So you might have an HR, like this is all about the HR department site with links to benefits and happenings in the HR department for everybody to read about and what we do and who to contact. And then HR probably has a team site called something like HR only. And then that's where only that's just their internal collaboration, and only the HR department can get to it, and that's just a team site. And you can have a Microsoft Teams for that, and you can have shared documents and whatever people do in a team. So that's the big difference, is that Teams are more for the day-to-day collaboration and working on files together with your coworkers. Communication sites are more for mostly one-way communication, publishing, and news, that the content for everybody to read. Joe says, can I undo the connection of the hubs, or once they're connected, am I stuck? You're not stuck. You can remove one from a hub site, and you can do that. When I go to, let's see, my site information, it says which hub site I'm associated with. I can just change it to none, and it says you're disconnecting your site from a hub, and then I'm disconnected. Yeah. Let's see. Craig, that's a great question. You want to know if I wanted to touch on the target audience. I did do a whole other power hour about target audiences, but I did it right before they changed a bunch of stuff with target audiences, so I don't think it was a very good power hour. And target audiences I'm not going to do target audiences in this power hour. I'm going to have to do a whole other power hour about target audiences, since they've added it to navigation now. And it's just basically means when you're creating your hyperlinks, if you only want certain people to be able to see the hyperlink, to be able to see the link in the navigation, to be able to click on it, you can target it to an audience. Now, that has nothing to do with permissions. So, it's going to let you put links to anything in SharePoint here, and everyone is going to see them whether or not they have permissions to the items. And you could target audience something, to a certain audience of people, and then people could click on it if they see it, but that doesn't give them permission to the location that they're clicking on. So audience isn't permission at all. It's just visually, can somebody see a link to be able to click on it? So maybe you don't want to clutter up your navigation with a bunch of links that don't, like executive council. Well, you only have like 10 people, 5 or 10 people on the executive council. So, but you want it to be a big obvious link that's easy for those poor executives to get to, then you put it in the navigation. Anyway, that's a whole other power hour to go over audiences and that concept. But yeah, Zach says when you connect to another hub or change the hub, it will also update the theme to match. Yes. But do I get my colors back? I don't, let's see, I know, do you get your colors back? I don't know, let me see. I can disconnect it and just see if the colors just magically appear as red again. So I'll just change this to none and click save. And says I'm disconnecting from a hub site. No, look at that, let me see. I'll do a hard refresh. What could go wrong? No, it didn't give me the colors back that I had on here. But now I do have the ability to go change it back. So I'm going to put it back in the hub though. Site information, hub site. Okay, I think I got all of your questions. Oh, can I add a Microsoft Teams site to a SharePoint hub? Yes, so I think, I know, Steve, you probably asked that a few minutes ago, but I think the explanation I just gave should answer that, right? So a communication site and a team site, those are the only two different types of sites you have, and either of them can be added to a hub. Now, in your question, though, you said a Microsoft Teams site. A Microsoft Teams site is a SharePoint team site. Those are one and the same. Those are the exact same thing. So, yes. Yeah. So that whole Microsoft Teams thing, especially, I know, Steve, you're not new to this, to Microsoft 365, but it is very confusing to people who are new to Microsoft 365, the whole concept of Teams versus SharePoint. But Teams, the content in Teams is SharePoint. each team is a SharePoint site. So let's see, more things about Hub. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of these settings that I'm talking about with the rolling up content. So this is my brand new site that I just created, IW Mentor HR. It has no content in it. And I have this, it comes with a news web part. So I'm just going to go edit my news web part and look at the news source. So let's see. Let me make sure that it knows that I'm part of the hub. Hold on, let me discard my changes. And I'm going to go look at the settings on the hub first, and then we'll go look at the site that I just joined to the hub and see what kind of differences there are. And so these settings are the roll up thing is for news and highlighted content. Like I mentioned, the web parts that will roll up content. Okay, all sites in the hub. So select a news source, all sites in the hub. So any site in this hub, their news is going to roll up to this news web part. I'll go ahead and republish that. And then on my new site, I'll go ahead and create a new news post. And sure, I'll make it pretty. Happy Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. That is my news post. And so the concept of posting news, the good thing about hub sites and being able to roll it up is that, instead of having to say, when it comes to people writing news, this way you don't have to allow a bunch of people to have permissions to edit your main home page. You can just let them be able to edit the news on their own site. Like the HR people can add news to their HR site. The marketing people can add their own news to their marketing site. And that way they're just only working on their site that they have permission to. And you can still have their content roll up to the main homepage, but that way it kind of keeps it secure so that you don't have all these random people with access to edit the main homepage, right? So that helps as well. So I just wrote a new post called Happy Wednesday, and now let's see how fast that shows up here. Because I'm rolling up all the site from, all the news from everything in the hub. Now it hasn't shown up yet, but let me go back to... So I'm back on my new site, IW Mentor HR, and here's the news that I just wrote. And I'll go ahead and in my new news post, I'm going to, it doesn't have a picture. And I noticed that when I posted the news, it didn't show a little, anything like graphic little picture associated next to the news. And that is because it doesn't have a thumbnail. So usually when you're writing a news post and you're inserting images on your news post, it will just take whatever the first image is and use that as your thumbnail. But I used a template, and this template just doesn't have any images. So I'll do bubbles here. I love the stock photos, by the way. Okay, so there's my image that now is going to represent this page. Even though I didn't even put it on the page, I just put it in the description. Okay, and now I'll go back to this home page. Now on this home page, I've got a news web part where I could just only show the news from this page if I want. So there's my news. And then this one doesn't have the hub site as an option here. Even though this site is part of the hub, it just says, just show news from this site. Now it does have a template called Hub News, which is just like a visual template. All right, so now let's go look at what the other site looks like. I'll just publish that. Back to the main hub. Oh, I didn't mean to edit that, but just to double check, now it says all sites in the hub should be rolling up to this top level site. And I'll refresh it. All right. Any last questions? I know I'm just kind of rambling now and showing you all various hub site things, but in my SharePoint training class, I actually have slides and descriptions and explanation of what hubs are in a better pedagogy that explains things and it makes sense. And also I sent you all the documentation where Microsoft has a whole thing they put together about how to plan your hub site. And you just have several different factors to consider as to how you want to put them together. But all in all, it's pretty simple. It's just, it's just say which site needs to be the hub, and then you just define which sites need to belong to the hub. And then the navigation is all just manual. And then there's the permissions that you can push down. So let's see. I'm sorry, I got a few questions. Teams is a UI for Office apps, essentially. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it, Zach. Teams is a UI for Office apps. Raphael says, would a team site linked to a hub and synced automatically inherit the read-only members? Yes. Yes, it would. So if you join a hub site and you're allowed to join the hub site and you're not paying attention to that little toggle button that says automatically inherit permissions, then yes, you are going to, everybody that has read access is going to have permissions. So that's a thing about educating your people who are site owners so they know what we're doing, but also restricting at the hub level, restricting who can join the hub. That way you don't have just, the people kind of random willy-nilly clicking things and accidentally joining a hub site and accidentally giving everybody in the company permission to all their stuff, right? So that's a good reason to restrict who can join the hub site. Let's see. Jay Springett, have you had problems with site news images not rolling up to the hub? I don't know. I would think I would just look at permissions on the site assets library on that site and drill down into the permissions for that specific image and see, but yeah, that would be the first thing I would look at. I've never seen that happen though. Yeah, so Craig, you're right. Just hopefully they would notice that switch, that little toggle when they're joining the hub site. All right, thank you so much, Steve, for the compliments. Let's see, I'm going to refresh this and see if that other site ever appeared here. No. Let me add another news web part. You can add multiple news web parts too. News. All sites in the hub. I don't know. I think it has to do with search indexing, and it could take a while, so I'm not sure, exactly how long it's going to take to appear there. Whatever. All right. There's another concept of doing an approval workflow for joining a hub. I've got 6 minutes left. You think I could cram that in and try that out? That's something that I have not tried in a long time, though. So there is, let me go to that setting. Hub. Filter by hub. No, wait, it was here. The only thing that I can do when it comes to hub site settings in the SharePoint Admin Center is just say who's allowed to join the hub. Require approval for associated sites to join. Create a flow to require approval. Click Create. We'll see what happens. I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. It's so exciting. I know, Zach, you need to join the inner circle. It's pretty amazing. with Craig and Steve here and about a couple hundred other people. Will you do a Mardi Gras theme next week, says Larry. Oh yeah, I should create a Mardi Gras themed SharePoint site. Yes. All right, create a hub site approval flow. Request to join a hub site and click continue. All right, who are the approvers? Who is going to approve joining a hub site? So I'll say me, of course. And I think that's the right one. Yeah. After I really quick create this flow, and then I'm just going to really quick create a Mardi Gras theme. No, I don't think themes can be created that quickly because there's PowerShell involved. All right, my workflow has been created. Interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to log in as Billy. And this is, let's see. Billy is going to go to SharePoint. So I'm logged in as Billy Bob, as you can see. And Billy is going to create a random site. And Billy's just going to create a team site. Blah. All right. And next. And it's creating the site, drum roll, see how long this takes, and then finish. So this is mimicking just some random user in SharePoint, just clicking create and just, you know, they do this, they create a site and then they literally never do anything in it. It just sits there and it withers away. So this is just somebody trying stuff out and clicking around, creating a site, and he's like, oh, what's this, you know, what's this hub site thing? I think I'm going to join this hub site. And it says approval is required to connect to this hub site. And it also has the sync hub site permissions thing turned on. But then it also says private. Interesting. So, oops, something went wrong. Yeah. I'll turn off the hub site. As you can tell, I've never tried this setting. Please try again in a few minutes. Public. Nope. It doesn't like my joining that. Now, what I don't know is if Billy has to be on the allowed list, or if I can't have somebody that's only one person allowed to join the hub site, if the approvals maybe don't work because of that. So let me go try that. And on my hub site, I'm going to say, oh, my hub site settings. And I have it so Billy can join, like he's one of the people that's allowed to join the hub site. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's not letting them. I'm going to take him off the list of people that can join the hub site and see if he has to not be on the list to be able to require approval. I don't know. This is why I did a power hour about this right when this concept came out a year or two ago, and it was a mess then and it didn't quite work right. So I'm going to try it again though. 1 minute. Come on, let's refresh. You all have had some great questions. This has been fun. Okay, let me see. Site information. And also, I don't know if I'm trying these things, if I'm doing it too fast. Oh yeah, look. Billy doesn't have, I took him off as an allowed person to join the hub site. And if he's not allowed, he can't even click it here. Like it's not even showing in the drop down if he's not a person that's allowed to join it. So this topic that I did just in the last 5 minutes here, we're going to have to revisit that because that is not quite working as expected, is it? I just flipped a switch and turned it on and it didn't work. So I'll have to do some testing and delve into that, and you know how it goes. All right, let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, that was fun and interesting. Thanks everybody for joining. And the main topic was at the very, very beginning, just hub site permissions and what they are. And then we just kind of delved into everything hub site, talked about what a hub site is, how you set them up, the concepts of communication sites versus team sites, and then what things that you can do with a hub site. So that's my recap. It was good seeing you all, and I'm looking forward to next time. Have a good day. Bye.